farting noise? Which one of you? Joel, what do you think it says that when somebody else moves to sit with you, they become more noisy than they were before? That should say something about you. All right, you're the common denominator there, and I know you know that. All right, so we're looking at Mark chapter 9 today. It's Unit 2, Day 1. We fully made it to Unit 2. The other thing, guys, it's worth noting, at the end of this unit, you're going to have another test, surprise, surprise. If you have not by then read all of Mark and all of at least one other gospel, the test is going to be really hard. If you have, and you've been doing the reading summaries, it'll be easy. I'll go ahead and tell you now, the test is that we're going to spend 2 days watching a movie, and then you will have to take notes of what happens, how it references the Bible, and then on the third day, we will not rise again. We will end up actually writing a comparative essay between the movie's use of the Bible material and the book's use of the Bible material. All right, so it'll be pretty simple if you have those reading things, and if you pay attention to the movie and you know the Bible well. If you don't, hopefully it's hard. The hardest part about that test should be not getting distracted by a really good movie, because it's actually really good. So, anyways, here's our objective for the day. Let me go over this, and I'm going to spell out some words. We will learn about the transfiguration. You guys should know this one. We talked about it before a little bit. That's T-R-A-N-S, figuration, F-I-G-U-R-A-T-I-O-N, transfiguration. And see how differing hermeneutical processes affect the interpretive outcome. All right, hermeneutical, let me spell that for you before I define it for you. This is a vocab word I want everybody to have. This is a really, really good one. I want to use it all the time. I also want to teach you that it even exists as a concept. Hermeneutical. Hermeneutical is spelled H-E-R-M-E. If you know your Greek mythology, that's Hermes. And then N-E-U-T-I-C-A-L. Hermeneutical. You guys know how to spell process, effect. I think this is the one with the A. I can never tell unless I get the squiggle from the computer. And then the interpretive outcome. So here's what hermeneutical means is the science and method of interpreting of interpretation, or of interpreting a text. Hermeneutics is the science of how you interpret, the process of translating, the process of, not just of translating, but interpreting something. Right? If I use your guys' slang all the time, and I know that I'm really good at it, and I use it super accurately because I'm not wrong. Wrong? Just, all right, if somebody's trying to interpret, right, they might have a process of how they do that or a plan. When we read the Bible and study the Bible, we are all interpreting the Bible. We're all doing that. Everybody's, when they say, this is why I don't always say this is exactly what it means. I say, here's the world around it, here's the data, and then I say, this is what I think it means in light of that, right? That's what interpretation is. Hermeneutics means your process and your steps. I want to be very clear. This is why we're doing that Sermon on the Mount project, that hopefully you guys are doing at home already. Hopefully you all have the Sermon on the Mount fully written down in your notebook. If you don't, you're behind on that project. You should, because what you're going to do is you're going to read the Sermon on the Mount to 4 people in your life, and you're going to see that at least half the time, you're going to get different versions of what the passage means to those people. And that's the goal, is because everybody has a personal, this is just a statement we should know in our brains. Everybody has a personal hermeneutic, whether or not they know. Whether or not they know. We don't always know that we are interpreting the text, but we are. We're doing something with the text every single time. Everybody is. We just don't know that necessarily. And that's one of the things that I want that you guys, this is like probably number 2 on importance for me. Number 1 is Jesus is Christ. The second of importance is for you to know that everybody is doing some process when they read the Bible. All right, nobody is without bias. Nobody is without doing this hermeneutical process, whether or not they think they are or not. If somebody says, "I'm just going to say what the Bible says," they're still doing some interpretation. They may not know it, but they are, or they may not. They may be lying.
Hello?
Hello?
Can you send Leonardo Munoz to the high school office with his phone?
Literally, he's on his way. Every morning. Just go up there every morning and give it to him. No, just start doing it every morning. That way I don't have to be interrupted. All right. So here's what I want to do. I'm going to give a super over-the-top simplification of something. It's going to be like the most simplified version of this. I know that you guys are all like, Mr. Lang, I want to be just like you, including the hair. When I get older, when I grow up, I know Wendy told me this the other day. She said, Mr. Lang, when I grow older, even if I'm not 6 foot, I do want to shave my head, be bald, and become a Bible teacher. She told me that, and I was like, all right, that's crazy. You're gonna have a 4 foot nothing Bible teacher, like bald Bible teacher. But here's the deal: if you get to like my level of study on this field, you'll take an entire class on hermeneutics. It's a really fun class, at least in my opinion. Other Bible teachers don't necessarily agree, but I love it. So I'm going to give a really simplified version of a couple things here. And then we're going to read a text where each one is doing one of these two. All right. We have a theological hermeneutic. This means they're going to use processes and methods that align with these steps, align with these goals. And then, here's what we have in my classroom. This is because this is what I'm better at and I like it more. I'm just going to be honest. We studied this because I'm better at it, I like it, and I think, and I'll explain why as well, why we should do this as well in a second. Here's the two big, now, there's way more hermeneutical processes, but these are kind of two of them in the simplest categories I can give you this morning. First is our theological. We know the word theology, it's in our vocab books, right? It's the study of God. And here's the thing. When we look at this, this is what we typically get in church, all right? What we use, this is the hermeneutic that your pastor has or your priest has in church. They're going to have this understanding. They are going to read and interpret Bible as completed text. Right? They understand the Bible as one whole united thing. They understand the Bible together. They let the Old Testament interpret the New Testament, and the New Testament interpret the Old Testament, vice versa. This is kind of their process, and they have a pretty basic goal in mind. Goal is this. Now that we have the Bible, what can we learn? What can we learn about? What can we learn about God? Remember when I put YHWH, that's just how I view God sometimes. So, what can we learn about God? Or maybe ourselves or the church, right? What can we learn about now, going forward, now that we have the Bible? We study the Bible as one whole thing in a theological reading. This is how the church typically reads the Bible. This is okay. There's nothing wrong with this, right? It's not my preferred. It's just not as fun to me, but a lot of people will say this is way more fun. This is what you guys do when you get to 11th and 12th grade semesters. This is what you end up reading, is doing theology. Right? You're reading the Bible as one whole thing. It's now we have it, so what? What do we do now? However, in our historical critical method, this is what we're doing in this classroom. Looks at outside data, and we'll just put put it in a social historical background, and literary structures to find original text and meaning. All right, it looks at outside data. This is why we're reading this book. Right, it's a good way to learn this. Looks at things outside of the Bible to come to conclusions. What we end up doing is we're looking at all the world around it. We're looking at the text itself. We're looking at things inside of it. And treat each book as individual text. All right, here we're treating each book as an individual text, right? So you can only interpret something by something that was written before it, not by something that was written after in this process. We are using historical settings to try to understand and meet one goal. Here is the goal of this. We want to understand form and function of original text in time and place. All right, we want to know, here's what I mean by form. What did the Bible look like? How did it get there? Right? How did the Bible come to be and why? Is the question we're answering. How did the Bible come to be and why? I'll say that one more time. We're looking for how did the Bible come to be, why? That's our goal. In this class, I think you guys have noticed, I try to do a pretty good job of this. I try to not do the interpretation stuff of this is what it means for us, whatever. I will say this is what I think it means, this is what we should do, this is how we're faithful to this. But usually that is interpretive work, right? A lot of times it's this is what's happening in the text. Objective fact, demonstrable, figure out what to do with the data on your own. That's because this is what I like to do. This is what I'm better at than the other three teachers. They're better at this, at the theological stuff. I misspelled that. At the theological stuff than I am. And again, when you get to 11th and 12th grade, you will start learning at this more earnestly. If you had Marcy's class last year, you guys did more of this stuff than we did. Now, here's why I'm trying to teach you this and show you this. You might prefer to read the Bible as one entire text. You might say, this is how I naturally read it. Okay, that's fine, that's good. But I want you to know that that's what you're doing and be aware of that so you can become even better at it, right? If you're aware that you are working out your muscles, you can work them out more intentionally. So I want you to do these things more intentionally. It's also that I believe, this is a personal belief and bias, now some of the other teachers would agree with me, you can't be great at this one. The theological interpretation is what the church likes. You can't be great at this one until you're at least half decent at this one. All right? Now, some of the best scholars on the historical critical side aren't even Christians, or they're very bad theologians, but they're really incredible here. But if you want to be great at the theological stuff, you have to be at least half decent at this history stuff. So I'm trying to teach you guys to get you at least partially, almost half decent. All right, I know you guys are 10th grade and it's early in the morning. I want to get you at least partially half decent. So what we're going to do, I'm going to final couple things, and we're not going to do work time today. We're not going to have time. I'm going on a little longer. I'm going to have to give you guys homework today. I don't mean to. No. I know, I'm sorry. But here's the trick. Here's the trick of this. Here's the trick. I'm going to set some things up about the transfiguration because they're very important for us to know, and about what we're doing with the homework and the reading. And I'm going to tell you some tricks to do the homework easier. It's just one of those essay outlines that we did recently. One of the tricks, do the outline before you do the introduction. Doesn't matter which order you do a document, as long as you do it and it's complete, at least for me, all right? If you do the outline first and then go back to the introduction will be incredibly easy. If you then do the conclusion after both of those things, it'll be even easier. So here's what we're going to do. I want to set some things up. The transfiguration, that is, as we've discussed, Mark 9, it's Matthew 17, and it's Luke 9. So, Yeah, you're good, man. The transfiguration is where Jesus is revealed as Son of God, and Messiah. I want to be super careful on this because this is doing our theology stuff, right? This is some theology stuff we have to be careful of. The word revealed here is doing some heavy lifting. All right? The word revealed is very important in this sentence. Transfiguration is where Jesus is revealed as the Son of God. If you read the transfiguration wrong, and there are, I will give a warning, there's some scholars here would say, well, it seems like the author thought this or whatever. Well, we're not going to worry about this. We're doing theology today. We're doing right reading of this today. Just looking at this, that Jesus is revealed. It's not that he is transformed or becomes. It's that he's revealed the Son of God. All right. Idea. So I'm going to give another huge vocabulary word I want for you to have. Here's this. Heresy. We know what heresy means, right? Who knows what a heresy is? A lot of you guys got this right on the test. I think most everybody. Heresy. Who knows what heresy is? Somebody shout it out. It's what? No. Yeah. Wrong beliefs rejected by a religious group. So, you're not a Christian if you believe in this heresy. Heresy of adoptionism. Bad reading of the Transfiguration. Non-careful reading leads to adoptionism. Now, that's not because being adopted is bad. Alright? It's because here's the idea of adoptionism. I want this in your vocab books too, and I want you to just have this memorized, because when you guys get to 11th grade, the two teachers there, Ms. Westra and Mr. Richards, other than being the worst, one of the things they have, because they're just the worst, I'm just kidding, they're not. Maybe, I guess, you know what, you'll find out next year if I'm kidding or not. But adoptionism is the idea that Jesus becomes divine. All right, we can see the word becomes versus revealed, right? If it's transfiguration is where Jesus becomes the Son of God, right? He's adopted by God as divine. That's a problem. He's not equal with God there. He's not God himself. He's just adopted. This is a heresy. This means you're not a Christian if you believe something like this. There are people that would call themselves Christians and yet believe something like this. So, all right. This is a heresy. This is what I want us to avoid, because this is what's not happening in this text that we read. What is happening is that Jesus is revealed fully as being divine. So we're going to read, again, a theological process of doing this and a historical critical process of doing this. You guys will use that as your outline thing. I need to give a final big vocab word because we're doing a lot of those today. Can I erase this, guys? No, why not? Because you're too busy looking around? Yeah, sorry. Don't goof around or you don't get my mercy. All right. Consequences of my own actions. Oh, no. All right. Here's the next thing. We need this for our vocab. Is Christological. Is to do with the nature, to do with the nature of who and what Christ Jesus is. All right. And I'm going to actually give one more. I haven't given to other classes, but I should. Is the incarnation. Incarnation. Jesus being born and taking on taking on flesh. When Jesus is born, we call that the incarnation. Christological is to do with the nature of who or what Jesus is. What do we believe about Jesus? Different people have different Christologies, higher or lower. I would love to get into that, but we're not going to do that. But in Christological, it's the nature of who and what Christ is. We're going to see this in our second reading today. I'm going to give you guys this reading in just a moment. We're actually going to flip to we're going to do the second one first. I printed them in the wrong order. We're going to do that one, and then we'll get to this one. We're going to see this term Christological and incarnation, and I want you to have that heads up on that. So we're going to take a couple seconds. I will find those for you. I'm going to give some instructions too. I'm going to give you guys the outline. Here's the deal. Today, what I want you to do as homework, because I have not given you enough time, I don't think. Yeah, I haven't given you enough time. So what we're going to do today for homework is you're going to do that essay outline. Again, start with the outline first. Before you do the introduction, do the outline. Then, what I need from you is a minimum of one either direct quote, or I'm going to call it a stolen idea, one-cited idea from one of these readings. So you should take annotations when I give them to you. I want to be very clear. This is, Leo, I know you're taking notes, but just listen to this real carefully for a second. When you guys like to do this thing, you'll say, I didn't steal it, I put it in my own words. Guess what that still is? Stealing. It's plagiarism. Now, what I want you to do, though, put it in your own words, and then put a little number next to it. Then find the number on the bottom of the page, write one of those little footnotes like we have in our book. You'll find a number on the second page that you can put. You'll start with 1, so then you'll put 1, and you'll put the title of where you got it from. You tell me where you stole it from, and guess what you haven't done? Guess what you now haven't done? You haven't stolen, you've now borrowed. In the readings that I'm about to give you. Right, so you're going to tell me where you get it, and guess what you've done? You've cited your source. You didn't steal it, you borrowed it from somebody. That's called scholarship. So that's what I'm going to ask you guys to do today. I'm going to give you 2 possible sources. You need to give me a minimum of 1 footnote by next class. I'll give instructions once I hand this out, just so you know. You can do it while I read, or you can do it afterwards. Any ideas that you find interesting, you put where they fit in that outline. So I'm going to hand those out. I'm going to give you guys a couple seconds to wake yourselves up, and then we'll start reading again.